Welcome to 216, a link to the past randomizer podcast. I'm your host, Fear Agent. 216 is the podcast where we do all 216 checks in the game in the form of a podcast. We are on episode number 9, hitting the home stretch of season 1. We've got 12 episodes of season 1. Today on the show, we've got Homemadebeer. Excellent show. The weather here is hot. It's always exciting to talk about weather in a podcast, but it is hot as balls here, and I am dying. Good thing we have air conditioning, right? Feeling good, doing a lot more races, having fun with it. I actually had shout outs to Oro, who kind of helped put me in my place a little bit, not kindly. I was doing a run, feeling terrible about it, just talking shit about how awful I was playing, and I won the race. And it's like, I had this realization, like, damn, I'm way too hard on myself. And I feel like a lot of my frustration is just because it's self-inflicted. It's me putting myself down, and that has a lot to do. There's a lot of deeper issues there, but just being really hard on myself. And or I was like, you know what, you're right. You are way too hard on yourself, and it kind of helped put things in perspective, and kind of lets me enjoy the game a little bit more again. So it's good, feeling good. If I can keep that perspective and just kind of enjoy racing, and just relax a bit, I think I can get back to the glory days of just kind of enjoying the game. And I'm excited for the Cross Keys tournament, which is happening this week. We're starting up the Cross Keys tournament. Parents will be announced, I believe, July 5th or 6th. I can't remember. One of those 2 days. So you're going to see a lot of Cross Keys. I think it's going to be restreamed on ZSR as all the speed runs. So get prepared for some Cross Keys. If you like watching Rando, going to be a lot of Cross Keys happening for the next couple of months. Casual Boots tournament coming up too. So there will be some of that. I'm not sure if that's going to be restreamed on like Speed Gaming or ZSR, if they're going to be doing that themselves, but there'll be plenty of Rando to watch. I think the SG dailies are going to be picking up a little bit of steam on Speed Gaming, so that will be interesting to see those back a bit more. So we're heading into the final few weeks of the main tournament here. Scholzer being the first person to make it to the finals, so congratulations to Scholzer. Takes 2-0 over GFE. I was talking with GFE a little bit after those races, and they didn't go the way that he was hoping for. I think he was hoping to be a little bit more competitive in those races, and it just didn't work out for him. But hell of a run for GFE. Top 4, nothing to complain about. Possibly top 3. I know he will be taking on the loser of the Andy Obscure match. Andy up a game in that semifinal bracket there. They have games 2 and 3 scheduled for this upcoming weekend, 3 if necessary. So Scholzer are going to be either facing off Andy or Obscure. Either way, going to be a really entertaining finals. With the main tournament winding down, though, there's a lot less coverage. In the thick of the brackets and the group stages, lots of restreams. And now we have, 2 possible semifinal games left, and then 3 possible final games left, and 3 of the bronze match games left. So not a lot of restreaming and possibilities left in the main tournament, but really interesting main tournament. We'll see who comes out on top of that. GDQ just wrapping up. I think they raised a little over $3 million, which is an insane amount of money. Awesome job by everyone over there. I didn't watch as much as I had hoped, but a lot of it is on YouTube. Most of it's on YouTube already. So if you get a chance, the one thing I did watch is the Super Mario World relay race. It was 2 teams of 3 racing against each other in a ROM hack made specifically for GDQ, and it was awesome. Big fan watching Barb and Carl Sagan, Just Cook, and a couple others do runs in the past of different Super Mario World hacks. But this hack was special. I was actually introduced to Shoujo in this run, and she was awesome. She destroyed the game. She was amazing. That was really fun to watch. I just want to shout out a couple different levels that they did. So they did, I think, 6 or 7 levels. The 4th level was created by Furby McFrosting with a little help from Kaizo Man, who made the Mode 7, which has like this moving background thing. If you haven't watched it, you have to see it. It's where they touch this brick and the entire background shifts and rotates and shrinks and does all this like stuff that I never thought I would see in Super Mario World. It's amazing. And watching these runners destroy that level was a lot of fun. The 5th level was created by Maddie, allegedly, who's the creator of Celeste, and did some really cool gravity stuff. And then there was some good meme stuff in there as well. That level was a lot of fun. And then the final level was by D to the 4th. It's a tempo-based level that is just insane. And it uses Crypt of the Necromancer music, which I wasn't super familiar with. And that music is insane as well. And that the entire level was just awesome. I can't stress how awesome it was. And watching the two teams go back and forth on it was a lot of fun. So it's on YouTube, Super Mario World by Barb, Jessica, Carl Sagan, and a couple others. Check it out. It's so worth watching. It was a hell of a run. I'm sure there's some more runs on there. Again, there was no Link to the Past this year, but I know that there was an Ocarina of Time rando, which I watched. That was pretty good. If there are any other GDQ runs that you watched and you'd recommend, make sure you join our Discord. 216pod.com has a link to the Discord, and you can mention it there. There's so many runs that it's hard to watch them all, or to know which ones are like the really good ones that you got to watch. So if you've got recommendations, definitely let us know. All right, on today's show, we've got Homemadebeer. Beer is one of the best people in the community because he's just here to have a good time. And if you want to have a good time, Beer is the person to do it with. He's chill. He's laid back. He has a ton of stories. And the real fun thing about having him on the podcast is having him tell those stories. And there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And there's a lot of stuff I didn't know about Beer. So it's a really fun conversation. He's also got a tournament coming up because he is such a memer. That him and Structural Mike put together this tournament called a Very Inconspicuous and Normal ALTTPR Randomizer Tournament 2022. This is what they say about it. We've decided that there are not nearly enough tournaments happening this summer and went ahead and created an entirely new format. 5 new modes are going to be presented for this tournament, each with something different, fun, and exciting to it. The 5 modes are: Is This Even Randomized? Inverticharismizer? Inverticharismizer? I don't know. True Pot Hunt, Anti-Rosia, and Why Is That There? So if you want to know what those modes are, check out the link to the tournament doc, as well as a link to their Discord to get all the information about this tournament. I believe it's going to be an async tournament. So if you like weird meme modes, this is definitely the tournament for you. I know they spent a lot of time, both Beer and Mike, putting these crazy ass modes together. So we've got a link to the tournament doc and the Discord in the show notes. 216pod.com, again, the place to be to get that information. All right, this interview with Beer is a good one. So no more yapping. Let's get to it. So there's weird things that happen when you get a big community, and that's when you find out how small the community actually is. So, for example, I know Drossi personally. I met him. He does a lot of traveling. And you tangentially know Drossi as well, right? Like you actually worked with him you actually didn't work with him, right? You worked for the same company or something?
Yeah. So around June, a couple years ago, 3 years ago. So yeah, about 3 years ago, I started a new job at this company that was a really small startup, like 10 people. And like the first day we started, the announcement was, hey, everyone, nice to meet you. Welcome to this new company. We just got acquired by this big company. And nice. Then later I met Drossi and we were just chatting about random stuff. And I was like, yeah, I work for this company that has an office out in Boston, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, I work for a company who's based in San Francisco, but we have an office out here, or I used to, rather. And he's like, it's probably not the same one. I'm like, I bet it is the same one. And, we exchanged notes and found out he had quit like a month before I started, basically.
Yeah, that's so crazy. It's crazy how, the odds of that sort of thing happening is so crazy. It's like with such a big world and realizing how small it actually is. Because I was talking to Drossi and he's like, oh, I know Beer. I'm like, what do you mean you know Beer? I was like, well, we kind of worked together without actually working together. It's like, I just kind of blew my mind a little bit because it feels like you're relatively new to the community, though. I guess it's the COVID year kind of makes things wonky because it feels like time didn't pass at all. That entire year. So you're kind of new to the community, but you've actually been a part of the community for a couple of years now, right? Like when did you start playing Rando?
Well, I've been watching Rando and speedruns for a long time. I didn't start playing until what year is it? COVID year. It's 2022 now.
2022 now, yeah.
So I want to say end of October 2020 is this is the first time I ever ran a seed. So yeah, about a year and a half.
Were you watching, how long had you been watching ALTTPR runs?
So yeah, I'd probably been watching for almost a year before that, or maybe even longer. Like basically, I was one of the early people watching and wanting to stream on Twitch, but I got started watching StarCraft and playing StarCraft with some folks, including Laggy. And this was in 2011, 2012 when I was like involved, and it was back when it was Justin TV.
Oh, and right. Then, I remember Justin TV. Yeah.
Yeah. So I looked it up. I've had my Twitch account since like 2010 or something.
Wow. So you started like right at the beginning of the whole Twitch, pre-Twitch thing.
Yeah. Just as a viewer and all that.
Oh, as a viewer, were you streaming StarCraft stuff, or you were just watching?
I tried. Like back then, the resources were a lot less available, so I didn't really have enough resources to figure it out on my own, and not enough people to talk to back then. So it was mostly, I was watching and playing StarCraft 2 a lot. And then I, maybe part of another story, but I moved to Switzerland at some point. And while I was out there, the timing worked out well for evenings, dinner time, whatever. Oats and Goats was always streaming.
Oh, and right.
So I watched a lot of him play back when, he would get regularly like 40, 50 viewers. And that was kind of how I got started, like watching a lot of stuff on Twitch. And then he would be doing stuff with Andy, and, they would be playing randos, SMZ, 3R. Like it wasn't that early on, but like when it came out,
yeah,
I was already watching him, watching a bit of Andy and stuff back then. And so that's sort of my intro to it was watching some of that. And so I never really watched like tournaments or league or any of that until basically the beginning of COVID. I just went and pulled up a bunch of old VODs of things that had just gone on recently. I think League season 3 had just ended, and I watched a bunch of VODs from that. Like I watched the whole playoff series, and then I think I watched. I don't think I watched anything else actually. I think I just watched all the League playoffs from season 3.
Okay. So your role as far as what you enjoyed about video games then was more as a spectator. You weren't really into streaming until you got into Rando. Is that right?
Yeah. So like, I grew up playing games. I think as a lot of people in the community, Zelda was my first game. Let's see. I was born in 86. So I got the game probably when it came out. My parents probably got it as some kind of birthday gift, and it was
like,
I think that was my story too. I got, I got that one. I got Super Mario World and SimCity, I think, and Super Metroid.
I'm actually,
I played those 4 games.
I'm a few years older, so the first Zelda was my. I remember getting that one for my birthday.
Oh
yeah.
Well, I remember playing it and wanting to play it, but we only had a Super Nintendo, and my parents weren't going to be like, "We'll buy you every console." It was just like, "Well, you have a Super Nintendo. Why do you want a regular Nintendo?"
Right. Totally. Yeah. So were you hooked in? Were you an NES guy or a Genesis guy? Did you have both? Were you one of those families that were able to have all of the games, or were you mostly focusing on Mario and Zelda and stuff?
Yeah. So like we just had a Super Nintendo, but I of course growing up as kind of a nerd, you get drawn to other gamers. Everyone had a Sega, had a NES, all these things. So you go to your friend's house and you play all these other things. You trade games, right? Like, hey, let me borrow this game, and so but for our household it was just Super Nintendo. Like my parents didn't really play. My brother didn't really play either. Actually, it was like all me. Like I was like super into it, and then Nintendo 64 came out, and that was like the biggest thing ever.
Gosh,
like, I think a lot of people kind of like forget like how incredibly revolutionary like Mario 64 was.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
when
totally.
It came out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember going to a place, gosh, I can't remember what it was even called. It was like this big box store or a big like electronic store pre Best Buy, and they had, it was awesome. They had like demos of everything, and so you could actually go and try out Mario 64, and it was like mind blowing how cool it was. And I actually remember pre-ordering Ocarina of Time at Electronics Boutique at my local mall, and getting the gold cartridge and everything because I was so hyped for it. Yeah,
I think I had something like that too, but you don't think about collector stuff. There was a point when I was in college that we were just like so incredibly poor. We literally sold everything that we owned. We had like a huge yard sale and sold every single video game console in the house. All the games, like we had all the original gold Zelda cartridges and all the silly stuff, and it was just like, yeah, $1, sure.
Yeah,
that'll buy us more food for a day, like
right. Not realizing like it could be actually worth something in the future.
Yeah, you don't think about that stuff, right?
Totally, no. You're just trying to survive, take it one day at a time. So you're playing games. Does that expand as you get older, and go into more Nintendo stuff? Are you sticking with Nintendo, or are you moving on to like Xbox? Does that draw you away from the Nintendo stuff? Or where are you at as a gamer then?
Oh, so after N64, I played through most of the games that came out there, and then I don't really remember the timing. Probably around college or so. I kind of got away from consoles just because for no real reason. I just got into PC stuff.
Sure.
Sorry, I missed a step. I got a PS2 and I got all the PS2 games as well. So I played, Final Fantasy 7 and whatever the big ones were.
Sure.
And then I got a PC, played a bunch of PC games, and then I ended up like in a lot of other stuff, like doing. I don't know. This is a long story in a way. I've done like every job basically. Like you can ask like, hey, this kind of job. I'm like, yeah, I've probably done that before. Like I did farming for a while. Like I've done like all kinds of crazy stuff. But at one point,
you went abroad, right? You said you went abroad to work as well.
Yeah. So around end of high school, I kind of dropped out of high school, and just mainly because like I only needed like a couple more courses, and I just was done with it in general. I got a job making pizzas around that time. And so it was like I didn't really have time to do much except for kind of party and hang out. And I was in a bunch of punk bands at the time. And so it was just like play music, party a bunch, make pizzas and stuff. And then eventually like in New Mexico where I grew up, like they have a really hard time getting people just to go to college. So they just kind of let everyone go. And so I ended up applying to the school and got in to the university there and failed every single class. It was a good time. And then decided,
sounds good.
Yeah, like I had a fight with my boss at the pizza place. I was like, I don't want to do this forever. Like let me go take school a little more seriously. I ended up doing pretty well, and so I kind of like because of it, I kind of ended up quitting everything. I stopped playing punk. I stopped playing video games. I just was like heads down on school, and then I ended up getting a math degree and then going to grad school and getting a PhD in physics eventually.
That's crazy. So someone that dropped out of high school ends up getting what you said. Your PhD. You said?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, it was a big change. But yeah, so through all that, like while I was in grad school, I moved to San Diego and then was playing a bunch of StarCraft, and that's when I was connecting when that was around StarCraft 2 came out, and I reconnected with a bunch of friends that I met in college, and they were all playing it. So that's how I met Laggy and them, and then like played that when I moved to Switzerland. And then when I came back, I was like eating breakfast or whatever, and then Laggy and my friend Kotigo were playing Zelda, and I'm like, oh, I've been watching this for like a year. Like, how do you play it? Like, what do you do? And and that's the kind of the story of how I ended up getting involved. They're like, oh, you just download this thing, you set up your stream, and then you just play it. And I was like, oh, this can't be that hard. I watched Andy play this all the time. And I think the first seed I ever played was this like in a race. I played a couple on my own. I actually played, I think I only actually played like 3 seeds on my own before I started racing. Mm-hmm. So it was this like super jet hover seed. Of course. So I find everything but the hook shot. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm in go mode, because this is what Andy could do, right?
Yeah.
So I do all the things. I get to the end. I kill Moldorm 2, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't know what to do here. I'm like, and then right around then Laggy finishes like a little bit earlier than that, and then Kotigo finishes, and I'm like, what the fuck, guys? Like, where was the fucking hook shot? And they're like, Skullwoods was a crystal. Oh, it was in Skullwoods. Like, oh. So it was like legitimately like just like a super
man.
crazy jet seed for my first ever
Yeah.
race. And I was arguing with him that I was ahead the whole time. And obviously I wasn't like,
So right away you're like, oh, I love this.
yeah. Yeah.
Just
And
like
it's just
that
like, oh,
jump
time to
into the
learn, time to get good.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I'm actually really curious about your perspective of a viewer for so long. Like you say you're watching, Andy, and you said you went back and watched season 3 of the league. What was preventing you from picking it up and just like joining right away? Because I feel like that's the common story is someone watched Andy at GDQ or someone saw a tournament race on SG and like, hey, how do I do this? So your experience is a little bit different.
Yeah. Honestly, it was just not wanting to reach out. Like I didn't even know what Discord was back then. Like I never even heard of it. And then I didn't know what any of it was. All I knew about was Twitch, right? And so when I was watching them, I asked them, how do I do this? Because like it was the first time someone I knew like that I could ask, and not feel dumb. You know how people are. It's like you feel dumb for no reason. I was like, hey, how do I do this? And they're like, join Discord. There's a bunch of links and there's all this stuff. There's all
And
these
you're like,
resources.
what's Discord?
Yeah, pretty much. I had to make a Discord account. I had to do all these things. So,
Did you ever
that's
race?
Basically it. Yeah.
Did you ever race on SRL?
No.
Oh,
no.
so
By the time I
when you
started playing, QuickSwap was already allowed and everything.
Oh, wow. See, that's crazy because again, it feels like you came on the scene and were just immediately a part of it. You know what I mean? Like you have this, you've only been playing for a few years, but you were competitive right away, and you kind of just, obviously you're a very approachable dude and very chill person to talk with and watch streams. So it felt like you just kind of were always there, but it's crazy to me that you weren't even playing their SRL days. That's bananas to me. Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. I guess it was, I think I would say I had good teachers early on. Like, I got to talk to Plasma Kappa, Laggy, and Kotigo, and they all had good game sense. They, if I had questions, I could learn pretty quickly from them. Mm-hmm. So what happened was, I was racing with them a bunch, but basically getting destroyed every time. And it doesn't really feel good to lose constantly, even if you're learning and racing people better than you. So there's, something good coming from it at the end of the day, but still. Mm-hmm. And ladder was newish, I think. I can look this up real quick. I think it was like season 3 or something.
When you first joined the ladder, it was already going for a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were talking about it like, hey, there's this ladder thing, and I don't think they had been playing a lot of it. Let me just double check. Yeah, it was in the middle of season 4. So SGL was going on. That's right. That's what I was watching. I was watching a lot of SGL, and it was open boots that year.
Okay.
And so
they were like,
yeah,
that was COVID year, right? Okay.
Yeah, yep. And they were like, hey, we could join this ladder thing, and then maybe you'll start getting opponents that you can race 1v1 and it'll balance to your level or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, cool. Like this is a way that I can still race, but not necessarily against people who destroy me constantly. Mm-hmm. Like, and still win sometimes, but, still be learning. And what basically happened, how I ended up kind of, if you will, like breaking into the scene, kind of sounds weird to say it that way, but I ended up playing a casual boots race against Gamachu on ladder.
Of course.
Somehow we got matched up, and I got completely destroyed, right? And what happened after that was really funny because at the time I didn't know anyone. I knew like 3 or 4 people in the scene, right? And
you had your group of friends, and then you're just kind of learning who people are.
Yeah, and Drossi was watching that race on Gamachu's side, and so I was chatting with him afterwards. He was a nice guy, and he was like telling me how he routed, blah, blah, blah. I went and watched back the race. And then, I started following him and watching his races and chatting with him and stuff. And, but right after that race, Drossi went on the ladder Discord and was like, how the hell does Gamachu face someone like Homemadebeer, this like nobody person who, he didn't say it quite that like tersely, but it was,
essentially
at the time, it's how I took it. Cause I was just like,
like,
and I was just like, it was that. It was exactly that. And I was actually laughing because he didn't mean it as in a negative way, but it was a good question because at the time they were still like futzing with the algorithm, like try and get like good pairings and stuff.
Right.
And And so he was asking, like, how does Gamma Chew get paired with this random like newbie homemade beer and end up destroying him by like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it was. And so I was like, oh, I feel I need to jump in here and defend like the system because it's a good system. I enjoy it, like, and I'm having fun. And I was kind of like, well, I feel honored to play against someone good. I get to go back and watch. I learn a lot from losing against these really good runners and blah, blah, blah. And so then we ended up, me and Gamma started chatting more, and I didn't actually really start talking to Drossi until way later on because I started doing comms actually.
Okay.
But so then afterwards, Gamma basically just kept inviting me to random races, which I was kind of like, I don't know, honored in a way. I was like, oh, cool. Like I get to race with these like good players and stuff.
Yeah. Don't be honored. He's just trying to find people he's just trying to find people that he could beat and make himself feel better about himself sure.
That's how I felt. Yeah. But I was like, maybe I take one off him. Right. And then,
yeah.
And I think someone gave him like my first like big win in this game, right. Was like someone gave him like a Jetty casual boot seat, and I ended up kind of clown routing to victory. And I was like, oh, I beat Gamma by like 13 seconds. I was like, hell yeah. I can beat anyone now.
Yeah. And so,
but after that, we just started chatting a bunch and becoming friends.
Yeah. So it was kind of Gamma who kind of, I guess, brought you into his group of people that he was racing with. And
yeah,
it feels
it was Gamma. Like while that was happening, at the same time, I got a bunch of races in a row against Average Frustrated Gamer and My Indium. And so it was around the time I started calming actually. And so we were all on Restream together one time, and My Indium called out like, hey, I keep running into you on ladder on Restream. I just, I can't find a race without you. And we were laughing because we keep getting paired up and stuff. And so we became friends later. And then I was like, I don't feel like racing today. And then I was like, oh, I'll calm. And then I ended up calming with Drossi and beating him. And then this all kind of happened so quickly. I like barely remember. And then that same similar thing happened with Average Frustrated Gamer. And he's like, well, I got a Discord, blah, blah, blah. And typically after his ladder matches, he'll pull up the, he doesn't really do it anymore. But he used to kind of pull up the race chat and like chat with his opponent live on his Restream. And I thought that was a cool format. So I mentioned it to him after I got beat by him a few times. And I was like, oh, I really like what you do with like, your sort of post-race interview on ladder, blah, 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 like with your opponent. It's cool. And so we started chatting and like we all kind of hit it off. And then I joined his Discord and I started kind of pulling people in there. So I kind of ended up hanging out with like Gamma when there were, serious races. When it was like, oh, let's go play the good runners, or hey, friendly races versus my friends. Well, everyone's my friends, but of course, it just feels different in a way. But it was let's play with the AFG crew, let's play with the Gamma crew, let's whatever. And so that, and then 40 Bonks and CJ's group, like My Indian was involved with them as well, Jesse and Vortex and all them. So kind of ended up in all those circles, just finding my place, if you will.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what feels like you've always been around, is because you weren't just in one of the groups, right? Like you talk about the different groups, and sure, people get along, but we all find our people within the community and kind of stick with them. But you are everywhere. You're kind of in all of the groups with everyone, which is a cool thing, because you're able to, like you said, do casual races with the people with Average Frustrated Gamer, or quote unquote serious races with Gamma Chew. But it's
the
cool
other thing
to
too is they before I started hanging out with them, they do a weekly Thursday casual race actually.
Okay.
That is just like voice call, and it's casual clown modes. Like it's always kind of different modes every week, so there's something weird happening all the time. But I think kind of our only real rule is like no hard or expert and no keys. And so like everything else is kind of on the table. And then there's one of our friends randomizes who gets to roll every week. And so whoever's turn it is to roll gets to pick a mode, and we get to like pick whatever garbage we want to run that week,
That's cool.
So I started joining them because they'd been doing that for almost a year at that point.
Okay.
And it started off with like 3 or 4 people, and now there's like consistently almost 10 people every week doing it.
Nice.
And it's all on voice call, everyone drinking beer and hanging out.
Sure, just having a good time. It's not
how rando should be played.
Totally. So speaking of how rando should be played, I guess let's talk about competitive rando and where you fit in that scene. So You when did you which was your first main tournament?
So let me preface that a little bit just to because it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Like I came in around the time when everything was already happening or ending, like October whatever I said, 2020.
Yeah.
League was already going on. And what was it? SGL was ending, like everything was already happening. So there was like no actual competitive rando going on besides ladder at that time.
Okay.
So I'd never really been in competitive scenes at like any level beyond, whatever dumb things you do when you're a kid, like, little league soccer and baseball and whatever.
Right.
But except the only thing that I had ever been like actually decent and competitive at was like, semi-professional foosball for no real reason. Like,
really?
It was the thing. Yeah. It was the thing that like, when I ski and snowboard a lot. I grew up on that and the snow and the after hours like activity in Taos, where I kind of like grew up skiing and snowboarding, was foosball. And so, I kind of learned it from my brother. And then we both got involved in the local professional scene in Albuquerque. And then when I moved to San Diego, I met everyone out here. And then like San Diego and Orange County both have like a really big foosball scene. Wow. And so I was driving out there like every other week, like to go to these big tournaments and stuff. And so like I started getting really, decent at that because I was playing with like pros like every day, And so
sure.
I was kind of digging around a bit in rando when I started, because it's like, well, how do you get good at something? You just go start playing with pros all the time. And they teach you and you get destroyed constantly until you stop getting destroyed, right? Yeah. And so I was looking for tournaments. I was looking for anything competitive going on, and just nothing existed. And I was kind of like, well, this sucks, And then main tournament got announced, and I was like, oh, cool, a tournament. Like, because I had been playing tournament foosball for like 3 years or 3 or 4 years at one point, and that's how I got good at foosball. And I'm like, cool, if I could play rando in a tournament setting, then I could get good at that too, right? And like, and then main tournament got announced, and so the 2021 main tournament was the first actual tournament I joined.
And you qualified for that tournament as well, right?
Yeah, I actually qualified pretty high. I ran all the early seeds. I routed okay enough in most of them that I think I ran like 4 out of 5 jet seeds or something.
Yeah,
but
of course,
I went back and looked. Yeah, of course. I went back and looked, and like my execution was like hilariously bad. I was on restream for one of them, but I just had the route locked in. So I went to all the items, but like I think I died in Turtle Rock like 3 times or 4 times.
Oh, jeez.
but I still ended up I don't know, top 20 in that race. Like did okay overall because I just had the route.
Did you have a goal going into that? Was your goal qualify or make brackets, or what was did you have a just kind of like see what happens?
I mean, like I didn't think I could win, but that was like my goal.
Oh, really? You went right to the top. Okay.
I just wanted to like play competitively and do well, but like back then I had a really tough issue with understanding if my routing made sense or not. Like I didn't know if I routed well. Unless I like, it's obvious when you god route and do well and play seed fast, right?
Right.
Like, but if you don't god route, there's still a way to understand what the traps are and what could get other people, and like whether or not you were actually efficient in general, but still kind of cleared everything, And I just had no sense of that at the time, so I was in a group with Wall Kicks, Apathy Duck, and Waterlow.
Okay.
And so I think I was second seed in that group, actually. It was like Wall Kicks, then me, then I forgot. 2 plays 3. Yeah, Waterlow was third, and then Apathy Duck was fourth. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I went 1 and 2 against Waterlow the first round. And then I went 2 and 1 against Apathy Duck. And then I had to play Waterlow again because he lost to Wall Kicks he lost 0 and 2, I think. And then so when I played him, I went 1 and 2 against him. So he actually got into the brackets with like 9 games played or something like that, right?
Oh, wow.
And it was just funny because like last tournament, I played like nine matches overall. And it just felt like a long tournament.
Yeah. It's weird how long it feels, even though you only end up playing 9 matches.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So,
But
so you made groups.
all the seeds I won by a lot, and all the seeds I lost by a lot. There was no like we were kind of both on a quote unquote like reasonable route, but one person made a skip or one person executed better or whatever. It was just I either God routed or I didn't, and I either like won by a lot or I got destroyed.
Yeah. Does it happen a lot, or do you find that was just the factor of that tournament, just the randomness of rando, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I think looking back on it, I think I don't know. Like I got lucky sometimes on doing checks that other people didn't that ended up being last locations where they got destroyed. So it's kind of a hard question to answer because rando be rando, you know.
Totally. And you play a million seeds and it's hard to figure it all out. And I want to get back to rando.
My execution was just like crap back then. But I did practice a lot of like specific execution, which is, you know, I did mentoring afterwards at some point, and you know, people ask, what can you do to improve? And I'm like, look, like the number one thing you can do to like practice to get better, I keep telling everyone, is just get really good at boss fights, because you don't need to be like amazing at them, but your route gets dictated by what you can do, you know. And if your route makes sense to go do something that's like really low percent but it's actually like a better play, sometimes you like need to be able to do that. So
like go fighter sword, cold stare or something like that.
Yeah. Sure. And so I spent a ton of time during that tournament just practicing offline on the practice hack, and I got, because one of the things I liked about that tournament, which sounds silly, is that because you couldn't find silvers, then everyone had the same Ganon fight because it's seeded and all that. And so I got like I basically perfected how to fight Ganon during that tournament, like for myself. Just I didn't want to lose time to Ganon to anyone. That was like my goal, I guess.
Yeah, I think that tournament was the first time where I spent a lot of time mastering the 1-in-1, which sounds silly because I'd already been playing for years, but I was like not consistent at getting that 1-in-1, and I was like, no, this is, if I want to do well, I gotta figure out how to consistently get 1-in-1. And
no, so absolutely there's like small things that you know where you don't want to lose time, right? And that's one of them.
Yeah, totally. So we'll get back to rando, but you brought up foosball, and that's crazy. It's amazing because I know nothing about foosball, especially the competitive side of foosball. Like I remember like in my church youth group, we'd have a foosball table, and that's kind of the extent of foosball that I would play, where it's like we'd play, everyone's terrible, so games take forever. But I've seen a little bit of competitive foosball, and it's very fast paced, and it feels like you don't get a lot of opportunities to, it's not like the ball's bouncing back and forth randomly, right?
Yeah. It's a very controlled game. So
tell me a little bit about how you got into this and how well you did. Like when you say competitive, I don't even know what that means. Is there like a team? Do you have like a team? Is it just two people? Is it more than two? Like what's going on?
Yeah. So there's it's called major tournaments. It's kind of a dying sport, honestly, and it's so the major tournaments that are going on are getting smaller every year.
Sure. But I mean, typically COVID probably didn't help with that either.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But if I remember right, there's something like, I don't know, 6 to 8 major tournaments in the US every year. And there's like a big one in Texas, a big one in Vegas, a big one in Kentucky. I think Minnesota has one. I forget. There's probably a couple more I'm missing, but those are like kind of the major ones. And so there's 2 foosball like leagues, and they host different tournaments, and you can get ranked in either one, and it's kind of an ELO ranking based on winning or losing and stuff. And so when you join up, you're a base rank, which I think I'll go with the easier rank to describe it. There's like beginner, amateur, I think it's beginner, amateur, semi-pro, pro, and pro master. So it's kind of like 5 ranks that you could be. And then in the tournament, they'll have singles and doubles for they'll have like a tournament for each bracket for each of those categories. And they'll typically have them for every ranking as well, depending on how many people join the tournament too. But then but the doubles is kind of split between what's called bring your partner and draw your partner. So in bring your partner, you pair up with someone and that's your team, and then you go and play and try and beat people. And then draw your partner, they just have everyone join the. It's called the DYP. Everyone joins the DYP, and they just draw names out of a hat until everyone's paired up, and then you play that and try and get to the end.
That seems bananas. Honestly.
Oh, it's so fun. I've gone to 2 majors, I think, at some point. I went to Vegas and I went to Colorado State. That's the other major that I forgot.
Oh, okay.
The other big one. I went to Colorado State and I went to Vegas one time. And man, they're fun. Like it's just because they have all the tables set up. You get all the tables are like pro tables or whatever that are the coin operated tables are like twice as heavy as the home models. And so all the tables in the showroom, there's like, 60 to 80 tables or whatever set up, but they're all open, so you don't have to pay quarters.
Sure.
But you can go buy balls from the tournament directors, and so you usually have like 3 or 4 balls that you bring to a match, and then but because they're open, like you can just go play on any table in practice or whatever. So there's tons of pickup going on like the whole time, like everyone's just having fun.
Is it super competitive, or is it more of like a beer league type of thing where you're just kind of having fun? Is there like cash prizes and things? Or?
Yeah. Like the majors, like when I was big into it, like the tournament prize pools, the mixed prize pool. So like all the prize pools combined was around like $100,000 each for each tournament.
Oh, geez.
For the majors anyway.
Yeah, totally. And so which ones did you compete in? The singles, the doubles?
Oh, I would always enter all the ones that I was qualified for. So so open is like the big one. Like pro masters can only compete in open.
Okay.
So I would always compete in like open singles, open doubles. And then I think I got to amateur rank. I never got past that, but I think the first year you're a beginner, but you can never be a beginner more than the first tournament you play, because you're always an amateur after that based on however it works. So I joined beginner singles, beginner doubles, and the open brackets. So I competed in 4 brackets, I guess.
That's awesome. So
I probably have a foosball ranking if I Google myself there.
That's awesome. So are you a ringer now? Like when you're out with friends or something like that, and you see a foosball table shows up, and here comes beer, unassuming, and destroys everyone?
I mean, yes, because so I always describe it as there's bar foosball and tournament foosball. And like once you've learned the basics of tournament foosball, you could be like the worst tournament player of all time, but you'll easily smoke any bar foosball player because you understand mechanics.
Sure, I imagine. Yeah, because I'm just
you can be like terrible and you'll destroy like any like even someone there's bars like, because I used to go out to random bars in San Diego and that I knew where there were tables looking for some foosball action, and like they'd have their local this guy's the foosball hero, like no one can beat him, and I'm like and I'd come in and just kind of mess around for a bit, and then I wouldn't even have to get that serious, honestly. I would literally just dick around the whole time and end up like usually smoking everybody. Like
that's awesome. That's
and then randomly like I'd get destroyed and find out later that guy was a pro doing the same thing.
Sure.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so awesome. That's I never even realized that. I mean, we make competitions out of everything, right? So it's not it shouldn't be that surprising. But I had no idea that there was like a whole foosball champion. That's a championship in league.
I had a really funny thing that happened one time where like I ended up meeting these guys. Where were they from? I can't remember now. But they were all from Africa, but they would always go play foosball at this place, and like they were fun. Like these guys like to really have fun. And one time, my position normally when I play in like competitive foosball is goalie, but if you're a good goalie, you can still score and do all kinds of cool stuff from the back. So so one of the things I actually learned how to do was like there's legal and then there's illegal jump shots where you can actually launch the ball off the table and score.
Okay.
And so I could kind of do a little bit of both. I knew how to manipulate like the ball enough to be able to do jump shots and stuff. But so I knew a legal one, which I messed with a lot, but I never really tried to do it like in a competitive sense, but I knew how to kind of set it up.
Sure.
But the way it kind of works is you bounce the ball off the side of the table and it kicks it into the air, and then you hit it with the guy and it launches off the table. And if you do it right, you get the right angle where it goes into the goal, right? Like over the goalie's head.
Yeah.
But getting that angle never happened. It was mostly about me just launching a ball off the table because it was funny.
Yeah.
And so the way this table was set up was one of the goals had a shelf behind it where people would keep their beers and stuff. And so I was kind of drunk and like, all right, I'm going to set up this shot. Like everyone watch this shot. You know? and then everyone's like, all right, I'll block this. We'll get you this time, you know? And so I set it up. And when I hit the ball, it flies off the table. It knocks into this guy's beer and then dumps it on him.
Oh, jeez.
And completely just like this dude is like covered in beer afterwards.
Oh man.
And I was just like, oh shit. Like I was like, I don't know if he's going to be pissed about this.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally.
But
yeah.
like he was laughing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, put your hands up, or do you start running, or you start laughing? That's good.
But like, you know, he thought everyone thought it was hilarious. They thought it was like, oh, 6 shot, bro. Like I ended up buying him a beer, replacing it. And, yeah,
sure.
Continued having a good time. But it was just funny because I'm like, that's one of my favorite moments playing foosball was just launching a ball great. Off the table and dumping someone's beer on him.
Yeah, if we're ever together, man, if we ever meet up, we definitely got to find a foosball table. You got to show me your skills.
Yeah, I haven't played in years, but I'd love to.
I'm sure you still got it though, right?
Yeah, it's
muscle memory.
It's riding a bicycle for sure.
Yeah, totally. So back to Rando. What do you feel like is the thing that you enjoy about it? Do you enjoy the competitive nature? Do you enjoy more of the clowning around? Do you enjoy the commentary side? Like, what about this game is it that you are enjoying the most, like currently in May of 2022?
Oh man, it's a interesting question at this time in Rando for me. I haven't really been playing much since main tournament, but no, I just really like playing the game in general. I think I've heard a lot of people say this. I've heard like Aries say it or Dante or whomever, you know, like the game's just a fun game to play, you know, and the fact that you get to randomize it and make it different every time is awesome.
Yeah.
Of course I love doing competitive things and winning and stuff. I think I've been on a hard last location kick for a bit. So I took a break, you know, you gotta get your head on straight sometimes. Mm-hmm. But really I love the community. Like, just the fact that there's all these people that are pretty much obsessed with a game that's 30 years old?
30, over 35, I think, isn't it? Oh no, I guess the first one came out in Yeah, it's old. It's been around for a long time. Yeah.
People love this hack of a game that was 30 something years old and like legitimately people are obsessed with it. And that's cool. I think that's actually fun. Like that you get to nerd out as hard as you want on this. You get to literally take it to any level you want and meet really cool people along the way. So like commentary is always great. I think I had a few commentary like partners last tournament that I got paired randomly with that, you know, I'm not going to say anything bad about people. Like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm still always having fun, but we didn't vibe very well. So I'm being a little more selective and just kind of looking for commentary partners, but just finding like a whole new social group that exists. Like, you know, I met Mindium, AFG, like I said, Tivarius and Magnet Hands, like all these really cool people that I can just go hang out with whenever, you know, I'm chilling at home or something. I'm like, oh, you know, let's go see if my friends are online, and you can go just kind of mess with them. And Mr. Ed just came on the scene out of nowhere. Like, and he just, that guy was just memeing so hard. I'm like, I love this guy. Like we just need to start memeing. Like that's the that's the way to play this game, to have fun, is to just, you know, don't take it too seriously, do the dumbest things you can, and as long as you're having fun and playing the game, like I think that's really what it comes down to. That's how I want it to be for me. Like, just play the game and have fun. But be competitive as well. And
sure. Do you struggle with that, with the competitive aspect of it? Like, is it hard to like go into a main tournament when, you know, people, for some reason, when we play the main tournament, even though you don't get anything out of it really, or the league, you know, those are the two big ones. Do you feel like it's a struggle to have that balance of competitiveness and fun? Or do you think you've been able to strike a good balance?
Honestly, I would say I feel like I have a good balance, just because, like you basically said, that there's nothing really on the line. So when I lose, I'm like, I've been super tilted, and I've been like a total shithead to my opponents and stuff before, you know, like I feel like everyone has, like,
sure.
You can't say that you haven't. Like, I think you're fucking lying if you say that.
Of course you are.
I try not to, obviously. And usually I try to look inward to why I lost. Okay, I probably lost because I made these decisions, blah blah blah. Sometimes you get randoed super hard and it's just like, well, whatever, fuck this game. But but no, like overall though, yeah, I want to be competitive, like I want to be good, but I was thinking about this actually before I came on today when you asked there. I felt like there was a question like this, and I was thinking about something that I was going to respond with in my mind, but it was basically like, you can think about how there's sort of people in life who do anything with X percent of like care, like they try hard at whatever percentage, right?
Yeah.
Some people get by happily in life, and not putting them down. I'm just saying that this is the case. There's some people get by happily in life trying at a level of 50, 60%, and they have a happy life and they're comfortable with that mindset. Right.
Yeah.
And so I kind of think of that in rando. Like, where do I want to get with rando? Well, obviously it'd be great to like win a tournament or, be one of the best or whatever. But like, I've thought about rando in the context of how I treat other things in life. And I'm pretty happy at like a 90, 95% level of being pretty good, but like not stressing, like being the best, just being able to compete at a high level but also being able to drink beers and just play for fun. And still be competitive, kind of like,
sure.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have that problem of making myself believe that, you know what I mean? Like I tell myself like, hey, this game doesn't matter. Like if you win or lose, it doesn't matter. If you win a tournament, it doesn't matter. If, you get knocked out of whatever, it doesn't matter. And I say these things, it's how do I make myself actually believe it?
Yeah.
That's my biggest struggle right now. Obviously I haven't played in a while and, trying to figure out that balance of how do I do this and have fun and let it be fun while being competitive. I don't know.
No, it's really hard. Like, I think me and you have even talked about this a while back where, when you just get destroyed over and over and over for a while, like it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
and there's no one's fault really. You just shit happens and you play the game, but like you don't want to play it for a bit. You just want to step back. But like, and what's weird too is when you get to a level where like people expect you to do well.
Yeah. Yep.
There's this different feeling you take to approaching the game where like the first time that happened to me was in the Cross Keys tournament. They had the predictions and all that.
Yeah.
And I kept getting these like 70, 80, 90% like, beer is going to beat this person. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I started playing Cross Keys 2 weeks ago. I don't know how to fucking play this game. Like, why the hell do I have these predictions that like, and then I had this weird, like, well, maybe I should try hard or something so that I can win. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was just playing the game and having fun. And
yeah. It's the randomness aspect also for me is hard because you get people in your head thinking, oh, you are good at this game. I've heard
exactly.
People, Fear Agent's one of the best. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't believe that.
Dude.
Not at all.
It's so hard. But then you like kind of think on like when you play and like, there were kind of two things that I came to terms with, if you will, was like, because I get the same thing with like some of my friends or some people I talk to is like they think I'm really good. And I'm like, I don't know, because I never consistently beat certain people. But then again, what does that even mean? Right.
Sure.
Like
what's hard when you're friends with Gamachu, who has this stupid win rate. And, like a lot of people, because, Gamma and I have done a lot of stuff together, put us in the same conversation, and you see his win rate and you see my win rate. And then it's hard, you get in your own head of like, I don't know, man, what am I doing here?
Yeah. But then at the same time, you can also consider that, because I guess you've been playing this game long enough that maybe you don't have the same memory starting off that I did. Because probably when you started, everyone was sort of, I don't know, similarly skilled. Like everyone was okay at the game, if you will. There were like the good players, the okay players, the newbies, but everyone more or less was in a kind of mediocre range, right?
Yeah. Well, I came in, there's a whole, a kind of an influx of, I came in with an influx of players.
Okay.
So we all kind of, me and Frostbite and a few other people all came in, and Gamma just a little bit after that.
Okay.
And kind of all learned together. So we were all just beating each other up. But
Yeah, and like when I came in, it was like these are the really good players. These are like everyone else, and then these are the kind of players who always lose.
yeah,
You know, and so I was like, where do I want to fit in? You know, and then at some point, I came up in a conversation of like one of the good players, right? Like being described that way. I don't remember where or whatever it was. And I was kind of thinking like, I was trying to be modest of like, nah, whatever, like that. But I was kind of looking at it and like, well, I'm actually not scared to race anyone anymore.
yeah.
You know, and maybe that's what it means to be a good player, is that you're legitimately not scared to race anyone that like, yeah, I probably won't win against X, Y, or Z in certain modes, but like racing them, you know you have a chance, and you know that if you just play your game, you'll actually do okay, potentially.
Yeah.
And
you just need to
that's
get
when
paired
I think
up
I kind of
against,
realized that.
Yeah, you just need to get paired up against Zelga more, because I keep getting paired up against Zelga and getting put back in my place. So he'll do that too.
I don't know. I haven't been on ladder for a while, but I think actually
I'm just
after
talking
League
about
was
tournament stuff. Yeah,
tournaments.
yeah.
Because then League was interesting too, because we just made a League team out of nowhere. Because that came from the spoiler tournament actually, because you and acted that, right?
Oh right, yeah. The where you have one person racing, one person piloting.
Yeah, that was super random. Because I was talking to CS Tutor at the time, and we were like, hey, look at, like, there's this spoiler pilot thing going on. Like, you know, I like, you like routing stuff. I'm trying to get better at execution. Let's look at like running a couple seeds and see how we do, and if we want to join this tournament, right? And then
that's how you joined together for the League as well.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so when we did that spoiler tournament, we had no idea like what we would be able to do together, but then we ran a couple of the asyncs and saw our times were somewhat competitive, and we're like, hey, let's just join the tournament then. And then we got paired with you guys, you and Ack, and then who was it, Foxlisk, Ace Zero, and then Dragonite and MM2, I think. Yeah,
Gosh, I don't even remember. Yeah. I didn't take that tournament very seriously.
It was just fun. Because it was like, hey, how good can you be at execution, like in the worst case scenario, right? Sure. And it was something that I've now decided that's what made me better at execution, was being forced into we ran one of the async seeds where you're basically forced to do 3-heart green mail Trinex with gold sword.
Oh, fun.
And it was like cool. That's like, if you want to route this efficiently, you have to do Turtle Rock first with Gold Sword, and there's no hearts on the way. And it's like,
just don't get hit. Yeah. Basically, yeah.
And so then that's what we did. We ended up deciding like, hey, League's also coming up. Let's talk to our buddy JJo, see if he wants to do it. And, you know, we decided let's form a team, and ended up getting to playoffs like our first season. And that was really cool.
What's your perspective on the League? Because you joined, the season 4 was your first season with the League.
I had no idea going in what it was going to be like. Because like I said, the first kind of competitive race watching that I did was probably League and SGL. And that was the season where everyone vetoed trash modes against each other.
Oh, right.
In the playoffs. And I basically only watched the playoffs. And so my thought was that League is a bunch of really good runners playing trash modes. That's what I thought League was. That's legitimately, I thought that's all League was going to be.
But you're not wrong. You weren't 100% wrong. It is still that.
Yeah. And so I was looking forward to going into it with like getting a bunch of, you know, Enemizer, swordless, cross key garbage. And then that obviously wasn't a thing in the way that League was designed in season 4, which was fun. But I really enjoyed it though. Like, it was super cool to just play with friends, and that's when I really learned what I love about Rando is like co-op, like kind of co-op type races where you're playing with a buddy on the mic, you're talking shit to him, you're racing him up the tower, you know, dumb things like that. Yeah,
there was a while there because we ran, you know, the League for twice in 1 year, and there was also a co-op tournament where co-op was being ran a lot, and that was my favorite time, just because I love co-op. Like, it's my favorite way to play the game.
Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah, it's just more fun to suffer with your friends while you try to last locate stuff. So you are actually coming up with your own tournament, right? Like, you've got your own tournament planned, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, so I was chatting with Structural Mike a while back where he made a joke on the the Challenge Cup Discord about an anti-Vroja mode. So one of the things I've been messing around with in the background was messing with YAMLs and figuring out how to really make Sahabot make some really dumb modes, you know?
Okay.
And Mike was like, hey, let's make this anti-Vroja mode. And he was totally joking when he said this. Like, let's make this anti-Vroja mode where, you know, vanilla swords and big keys and everything else is shuffled. And so I messed with the YAMLs and I got like a version of it working. And I'm like, cool, I got it. Here we go. And then I started chatting with him on the side about it. And we're like, well, what if it actually has this, and this? And so I ended up like, we kind of converged on a non-terrible like version of it where it was kind of still vanilla big keys and swords, but some other things.
Okay. And
so I also found out I had heard about that you can use your namespace on the website to upload like presets as well. So you know, when you go on Race Time or use Sahabot, you can say, you know, load preset blah blah blah, and there's all the standard modes. But you can also use, you know, now you can do, for example, race preset, or it would be race Homemadebeer / anti-Vroja, and it would roll this anti-Vroja mode. And so I'm like,
that's cool.
Like I said, yeah. So
I know that's a thing. It's awesome.
It's newish. And Malmo actually helped me figure out how to do it correctly. So she was really helpful there. And then so again, like I said, we did all those Trash Thursday modes, and we did some other. We've been doing we branched out our Trash Thursday modes to every Tuesday as well, where we do what we call Topsy Turvy Tuesday, where we play some type of inverted.
All right.
We've done some really terrible ones. I think we did like a all dungeons inverted hammer swordless one once, and that
sounds awful. Yeah.
Lots of awful stuff. Just, you know, just play some inverted. Inverted's an interesting take on the game, and play it. And so when they announced inverted in the main tournament, I was well prepared.
Yeah.
I ended up destroying all my opponents that I played inverted against just because
nice.
Like
you had experience with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so getting back to it. So I loaded a bunch of presets, and while we were working on this, you know, me and Mike started chatting on the side about like, well, what if we had some kind of meme tournament where we have these kind of, you know, modes, these like weird modes that we come up with, but like make them in a way where they're not complete trash, you know?
Yeah.
Like, cause it's easy to make it's easy to make a mode that just is terrible and not fun.
Yes.
But let's come up with a few modes that like are silly and memey, and we'll make that like a dumb tournament.
Bullshit. Yeah.
And we'll make a dumb tournament that's not serious. That's kind of a meme tournament, you know? Like I know that PogChamp kind of has that what do we call it? Recognition. It's the meme tournament, the PogChamp tournament. Yeah. But ours is going to be different. It's more like just a couple preset modes, and we've been coming up with how we want to do group stages, brackets, etc. Because we thought of we've been thinking of different meme ways to do that too, just to really kind of cash in on the term. But
yeah,
basically, so just to give a bit of a shout out to the tournament and some details, we'll be finalizing the modes, and the documents will be getting written up in the next couple weeks. And the plan for this is to start right around the end of the Cross Keys tournament, and to make it short enough that it ends like the finals, or, you know, somewhere the end of brackets will be around when league starts next season, you know.
Okay.
If it's similar schedules to last year, how?
Yeah,
so basically, I think end of August or so is when it would start, and then
and you're like opening it up to everyone. And is there a Discord or something that everyone can join? Or
yeah, we're working on a Discord. Once it's ready to go, I'll send it to you. We can link it in the however you want to do it.
Yeah, we'll make sure we have the link for it in the show notes and stuff, so you can get on the website or the Discord here as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Is there anything else? Did we miss anything? Honestly, I feel like we could go another hour, because there's like so many,
I've been having a good time.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't even cover everything. We talked a little bit about tilt, but that's kind of one of the questions that I've been talking with. I've asked everyone is, how do you deal with tilt? But I guess we're just gonna have to do this again, Beer. Like this is gonna have to be
I'm down
another
for
episode.
round two. I think there's plenty we didn't cover. There was, you know, I think if you want to later on, we can talk about more tournament stuff. I definitely had different runs in tournaments later on. Like I did the co-op tournament with Gamma at one point. the ad keys.
That's right.
tournament
You
was
stole
super
my
fun.
partner.
A bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk to
You
about
were
that.
semi-retired that week.
Okay. All right, man. It's been a good time. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, dude. This is super awesome. I'm looking forward to the episodes and hearing all the other players as well.
If you ever just want to feel good about yourself, just hang out with Beer. He's someone that just has like this energy and this like liveliness to him that just like it gives you energy and it just kind of makes you pumped up and feel good. And I love to be around people that are like that people that like give off life. Really, it's nice. There's not like a negative essence to him at all. It's all positivity, even if it's memey. Like I would never consider myself to be like a memey person, but I love to be around Beer and his sort of like general demeanor and what he brings. So I really hope you enjoyed the conversation. I thought it was a fascinating one, and I learned a lot of stuff about Beer. As I said in the beginning of the show, we're heading into the final stretch. We have 3 more episodes to go. So next week, we're going to have Amarith on the show. That's episode number 10. Great conversation with Amarith. I love Amarith, and getting her on the show was a real highlight for me. After that, we're going to be back with Magnet Hands, and that conversation is intense and real and awesome. And again, if you want to be around someone that just has so much positivity around them, Magnet is your guy to be around. That guy, if you've never watched Magnet race using the WWE MSU, you're missing out, because when he finishes, he puts on a show. It is awesome. So check that out. And we'll talk about that with Magnet. And then the season finale, we've got Solsky on the show for the final episode. And Solsky's been around forever. So we get kind of like a history lesson about ALTTPR and, the infamous smoke match that we've talked about with some other guests with P-Train and stuff in the past. We get a first-hand account from that with Solsky to finish up the season. It's been an incredible first season, and we're hitting the home stretch. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all for joining the Discord. If you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button. Apple Music, Spotify, Overcast, Amazon, Google, we're all over the place. Join the Discord, 216pod.com, having some fun conversations over there. And when we get to season 2, I've already been working on the guests for season 2. They're big. There's some big guests coming for season 2. Just thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. And I'm having a good time racing, having a good time hanging out, enjoying the community. Let's all do it together. See y'all next week.